Welcome to another episode of Until It's Done, a devoted podcast. I'm your host, Dana Lynn Kay, and I'm here in the studio with Angela Giambrone.
Nailed it.
Yes, I nailed it. Okay. So Angela, well, do you call you Angie or Angela?
Angela, Ange.
Ange.
Yeah,
okay.
works for me.
So we met a little while ago at a fitness place, a group fitness place that you were coaching at. You're a fitness coach.
Correct.
Which I love. And we had a lot in common. We would sometimes talk in the lobby, and we had a lot in common, and we would just kind of roll, and our conversations were so good. And we started following each other on social media, and I would see some of your posts, and sometimes you're very raw and real, which is, most of the time you are, but just meaning like you'll open up about things, and we opened up to each other about some struggles and along the way and what we've dealt with. Sure. And so it dawned on me that I'm like, you know what? She's another example of somebody that I feel like should share their story. And, I've shared mine. And I just feel like, you're obviously open and want to help people. Being a fitness coach, you obviously are coming from the right place. You want to coach people. You want to help people. You want people to feel and look their best and all those things. So, anyway, so welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm super excited.
So give me a little background on even how you got into fitness. And I want, you had listed a bunch of things about yourself to me. And kind of in a nutshell, just doing a little intro of who you are and the things that you would like to talk about today as far as your journey.
Sure. Well, my name is Angela. Again, thanks for having me. Currently, I am 39. Gemini, like
Me
yourself.
too.
Yeah, that's why we felt that pool of energy when we first met. But I am originally from New Jersey, so that's home.
Me too. Oh my God.
Yeah. Went to school for business actually, and when I look back, I kind of think, did I do that for myself, or was it kind of like the check a box for my parents? Yeah. But I feel like the skills I learned are invaluable and translate well to where I ended up. But got my degree in business and went into the corporate world. And coming out of college, it was like adjusting to adulting. 9 to 5, commuting into the city on the train. I was working in Philly. I was in HR, a $1 billion company. And I just remember being like, oh my gosh,
That's a lot.
I hate my life.
Yeah.
And I gained a lot of weight in college, the whole freshman 15 and then some. And I just felt really lost. I felt really depressed. And that's when I found Orange Theory.
Okay.
So we're talking like 2013. And the brand was still pretty small, but I'm like, wow, something to look forward to after work. The weight kind of started falling off. I'm like, feeling like myself again. And I thought something is pulling me in a different direction, but I don't know how to pursue it because I've always kind of been a people pleaser, and I never want to disappoint my parents or anybody else. And they had this vision for me essentially that I was going to be a businesswoman and climb the corporate ladder and do all these things. And I just remember feeling so conflicted, and I lost 20 pounds and I was feeling really good. And I said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to go for it. And I took a leap of faith in 2015. And I started working for Orange Theory full time. Wow. And I thought, I don't know if this is going to work. What am I doing? This isn't the plan. And my parents actually ended up finding out through Facebook.
Oh my God. Oh, so you didn't even tell anybody?
I didn't tell them. I was still so scared of them.
Wow.
So they found out through Facebook. Phone rings right away after a post went up. And my dad's like, why are you at Orange Theory? It's it's the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. And I was like, oh, so now would be a good time to kind of let you know, I'm an Orange Theory coach. And he was like, not totally down for it. My dad loves me at the end of the day, but he was just kind of like,
what happened?
Yeah, we spent all this money on your degree. This isn't a career. It's not going to pay the bills. Don't come to me if you get stuck. And I'm like, okay. And that was kind of what fueled my fire. So anyway, I ended up giving myself a year, and I was like, all right, see if the bills get paid. And if I don't get promoted up in a year to a head coach where I can make more money and use my management degree and sort of level up, then I'm out. So sure enough, I get promoted. So now it's we're in year 2, we're in year 3 of Orange Theory. And I started to get a little bit too comfortable, and we're Geminis, right? We don't stay in one place for very long. We don't like feeling stuck and we're not growing. So I thought, well, where do I go from here? Like maybe this is the end. So I applied to corporate. I thought, I'm not going to own my own studio right now. I don't have the bankroll like that at this point in time. And Orange Theory at this point was like blew up, So I'm like, I wait 6 months and I got a call and I was like, oh, I forgot what I even applied to, but like, what's going on? Really? And they said, we know who you are. We've been watching you. We have a couple of opportunities. And to make a long story short, like they paid my relocation and I headed down to South Florida and I worked on the Orange Theory corporate team for the last year. And that got cut short due to COVID. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of like what ended my Orange Theory journey. I have nothing but love for Orange Theory. It literally changed my life. It showed me that, if you're passionate about something, like the success will follow and the finances and like all that stuff, like just listen to your gut and listen to your heart. And eventually my parents came around and they were like, wow, she's doing big things. When I did join the corporate team, I was traveling the world. They actually have studios in like
all over,
26 to 30 countries now. I don't even know. So I got the opportunity to do a lot of traveling before COVID and it really was like a life-changing experience, but that's kind of how I pivoted and ended up in fitness and stumbled along the way. And we could talk more about that and learned a lot of things about what works and what doesn't in this journey. But yeah, that's kind of what brought me here and kind of got my feet wet in the industry.
Right. Wow. And that brought you down to South Florida.
I'm still here.
Yeah. So at least you fell in love with South Florida.
I did. Yeah.
And you mentioned like that you feel like you should be passionate about what you're doing and like the rest will follow, like all that. So is fitness still a passion of yours?
Yes, because it seems like when I do try and leave, I end up coming back.
Okay.
It's like, oh, my cup isn't full anymore. I need to go back to what I love. Right. So yeah, I would say yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like you said, you were doing something that like whole grind of the corporate world and HR, and that just wasn't your jam. Like it's not, sometimes some people love it, but it just wasn't for you. And it's like, if it was like painful and you hated life, like that's a red flag.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking like they had me on antidepressants and I'm like, whoa, I'm not, what is going on here? What is really the deep rooted cause of why I feel so unhappy? And I had to make a change. So I didn't look back.
Okay. So then the fitness stuff. So with Orange Theory, so you were coaching classes, and then what did corporate look like there? Because were you still coaching, or was it like
a little bit? But I was my title was an international fitness manager. So at the time, this is right before COVID, 2019 into 2020, they were focusing more on international growth. They were still growing and building in the US, but it was really putting an emphasis into global expansion as well.
Okay.
So they were like, how do you feel about traveling? And I was like, well, I really have nothing holding me back.
Yeah.
Packed my suitcase and I was going, I got to go to Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Germany, Poland, and got to connect and make an impact with people all over the world. And I would say the most life-changing part of that journey was what I did in the Middle East. In Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, the studios are women only. So men and women can't exercise together because, of their religion and culture and everything. So just opened my eyes to things that I never thought I would be exposed to and just truly changed my life.
Okay. So I'd say that's all worth it. Geez, an experience like that. I mean, you never know like what is going to happen, doors opening and a situation. I mean, to travel like that. I mean, you went for it. You applied for something and you said like, you didn't even hear from them for 6 months. And then all of a sudden this opportunity was waiting and you got to experience. I mean, I've never even been to all the places that you listed. I'm like, wow, like that's amazing.
It was surreal.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was a whirlwind. In less than 6 months, I had gone to all those countries and COVID kind of obviously changed things. It was nothing other than that in terms of why I ended up parting ways with Orange Theory. But yeah, it's something I reflect on a lot. And I still stay connected to these women that I met and gentlemen in some countries,
Sure.
all around the world. But it really was life-changing. And it made me realize like I did the right thing when I made that really scary, uncomfortable decision back in 2015 against like probably what a lot of people wanted me to do. It came full circle when I was like, okay, like I'm in Kuwait and I'm helping people improve their life, or it gave a lot of women jobs. It for them culturally and things, it was life-changing, like on a different level than it was for me. And it gave me a lot of perspective and also a lot of gratitude for how we live our lives here. So yeah.
Okay. I love that. There is something to be said about that whole journey, and that's amazing. Now, your personal fitness journey, tell me a little bit about that, because what prompted me to actually like bring you on the podcast and talk about it is you did a post about how you look at your body and body dysmorphia and all that. And I know that you've had quite a journey with your body, your weight, like your health, all different kinds of things like that. And then where you're at today. And anybody looking at your social media, I see you post beautiful pictures of yourself all the time. You're in great shape. You're like, anybody would look at you and be like, oh my God, she looks gorgeous. Sure. What a great figure. Wow, she's on the beach.
Thank you.
No, seriously, like
hyping me
you're
up.
fit, you're like all those things. And then I was shocked because like I'd see your posts, and then all of a sudden one day you did open up about like having a little bit of like some body dysmorphia stuff. And I was like, you know what? This is interesting. I want to talk to somebody who's a fitness professional who has her own struggles. Yeah. Because people look at fitness people, like even myself, and they're like, no, she doesn't understand. She's got it going on. Like she's got it figured out, and she looks beautiful all the time, and she doesn't understand what it's like to struggle. And it's like, no, like actually we're real women and we have our own struggles.
It's actually more prevalent in our industry than you think.
Yes.
I think a lot of people are more comfortable now coming forward, but you know, that's something I had to learn in my journey. I want to say I did my first diet when I was like 14. Sure. You know, we kind of, I'm an elder millennial. Mm-hmm. We kind of grew up like reading Star magazine, and it was like Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton and Top Model. Like that's what jumps out at me. And it was like, oh my God, like they're like rail thin. Yeah. I'm Italian. I was an athlete, like maybe like more genetically or more of an athletic build, but it was like, oh my God, skinny is it. And then I started doing gymnastics, you know, going into cheerleading, and it was like skinny, skinny, skinny.
Yes.
And once I got my first taste of dieting, and I always say to people, it's like stepping into a hamster wheel and trying to step out of it almost for the rest of your life, it feels like, you know, or even if you come out of it, you like feel like you get pulled back into the hamster wheel of dieting one way or another. So started with the dieting super young, and then it was like, oh my God, it was the Atkins diet.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And the South Beach diet. So it's like, okay, now I'm like 15, 16, 17 years old, whatever I am. I'm playing competitive sports. I'm a growing female, hormonal, all the things, and I'm not eating carbs. And one day I'm like passing out, and my mom's like, what the hell is going on? You know, like, what are you doing? And it was like, you know, chasing skinny
and like following the next, like what's the hot fad diet? Like, like you said, it's like Atkins and like what's everybody talking about, and all the claims being made that it's, I've lost 30 pounds, I've lost whatever. And you're like, oh, I'll do it too.
Yeah. So, I mean, and ironically, rest his soul, the creator of that diet, like dropped dead.
Of like a heart attack or something. Yeah.
Anyways, so, you know, that kind of put me into like dieting, and I don't know, like, exactly how it amplified the way it did, but it was just like wanting to be skinny and wanting to look a certain way in clothes. And like my dad was super strict, so, you know, had to sneak around like what I was wearing, do the layers. But it was, you know, being a female and being a teen is just,
it's hard.
And we grew up without social media, you know, like, I mean, I already said my age, so that's I'm not, but I didn't have MySpace or any of these things until I was in college. You couldn't join Facebook unless you had a college. You had to have a .edu. Like, there might be some people listening that don't even know what this means, but we didn't even grow up like how they're growing up now, where they're like coming out of the womb with an iPhone and they're making TikToks. And
it's like a blessing and a curse, because now you don't feel alone, because there are always people who you can talk to about, but some of it's a very very misleading, a lot of misinformation, a lot of toxic stuff. I mean, you could have a group that's all about positivity and body positivity or accepting yourself, but you could also have a group about these girls who are also just still chasing skinny and promoting eating disorders. So it's like very scary out there where you land and where these impressionable minds of these young girls are going, because you can really glorify or make anything look glamorous.
Sure.
And, eating, 3 saltine crackers a day and whatever, like these like ridiculous diets that women used to
Weight Watchers,
all the stuff. The things would be very glamorized and, and then the success stories would look so great and the before and after pictures, and you'd be like, oh, that's got to be me.
A lot of it's smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of good, like it's a double-edged sword.
We didn't even know Photoshop existed.
Yeah, there is like a lot of good on social media now, but yeah, we didn't even have that. It was a lot easier for my mom to like take those magazines or not buy them for me. Like I didn't have money. It was easier, I think, too, as a parent, but I still struggled. So today I feel like it's even harder, but so in the hamster wheel of dieting and then, getting through high school and going into college and it's like, whoa, join the sorority. I'm doing cheerleading, but I'm also drinking and eating at 2 a.m. And like, you're just doing all the things, what I'm saying, going to class, what's going on? I'm on my own. And I came out of college and just like, remember feeling completely lost too. I was still doing a ton of cardio. We were still in that era of like the elliptical, doing it for an hour and a half in like the school gym, and then like binge eating till 2 a.m. It just was like, oh my God. And coming out of college and getting thrown like immediately into the corporate world, it just spiraled. And that's when I started Weight Watchers.
I did Weight Watchers too.
No shade to Weight Watchers. Like, I'm not here to put anybody or anything down, but like became a lifetime member of Weight Watchers. Yep. So then it's like, okay, now I lost 30 pounds. But just the pressures of certain things. And when I did find Orange Theory, that helped me kind of get back to myself too. And the weight comes off. And again, I love Orange Theory, but it was super new and I became addicted.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, now I'm coaching 20 to 25 classes a week. And if you know anything about Orange Theory, super high energy, you have, 30 plus people in the room, you're running around like a nut. Essentially, you're not doing the workout, but like you're doing physical activity.
Sure.
So it's like I'm coaching a lot. Then I decided I wanted to run marathons, half marathons, and do all these things. So now it's like, okay, more stress on my body.
Wow. How were you eating during this time?
Not enough.
Okay. So what style of eat were you now moved on to where you were trying to eat like a fitness person and like
by day on social media and in the studio. And then that led me to binge eating. Like it was insane. It's for anybody's that struggled with an ED or it's an outer body experience. Like you're just, I can't even remember. It's like you black out and you're just going, by myself at night. So it's just this cycle. And then the diet starts again tomorrow and my Tupperwares are packed for the gym and I'm running an Orange Theory and I'm training for a marathon and doing all these things. And then I had, a big personal life experience happen where I called off an engagement.
Oh, wow.
45 days before the wedding. So it's like looking back, it was like, you have your stress bucket.
Yep.
And if you're just layering on stress without stress management or rest, it becomes chronic stress and then it just spills over.
Yes.
So like for so long it worked. I got super lean. Everyone's like, oh,
Yeah,
you
got
look
the
like you
attention.
are you doing a bodybuilding show? I'm like, nah, so the attention. And at this time, early in my fitness career, it was like, I'm only going to be taken seriously and respected and a good coach if I
look the part
and it's like, that's what I eat, sleep, breathe. Like I eat out of Tupperwares. I run marathons. I can run 12 miles per hour on the treadmill at Orange Theory. I can deadlift 100 pounds, whatever.
Yeah.
So I was just hiding behind that mask. It's like, I gotta be the epitome of fitness. Like I'm on a stage every day when I'm at Orange Theory. And, you know, this is a time when Orange Theory was like the rage. They
Yes.
like revolutionized group fitness in the fitness industry.
Yep.
I felt like
So you were like representing
a micro celebrity, you know,
Yes.
you're under a microscope, and anybody listening that comes from the Orange Theory world, like if you know, you know.
Yep.
And it was like, I have to be this Coach Ange, perfect kind of person. And it came crashing down hard. So, you know, eventually I lost my cycle.
Wow. Yeah.
So amenorrhea for like 2 years. And I thought like, wow, this is fitness. Like I'm so fit. I don't even like,
I don't even have a cycle anymore.
What's the word the young kids like delulu, you know, but this
yeah.
is like, this is where I was at. So it's like, okay, well, you know,
Wow.
this is it. And eventually that came crashing down hard. And one day you wake up as a person in a body that you have no control over and you don't even recognize. So,
yeah, that's really scary because like you think you have everything under control when really it's like spinning out of control, like right from under you.
And it became exhausting. You know, social media is now full swing. We're past that.
Yeah.
Where we're living in that era, and I'm Coach Ange, and I'm doing all the things, but I would just go home at night and I'm binge eating and my bulimia is spiraling and I'm staring at myself in the mirror and I'm crying. And then I had my failed engagement and it just was like,
yeah, it's a lot.
Holy moly. But that was the MO, you know, eat less, move more, hit training exploded onto the scene. The boss babe era, like I can do all the things. But
were you physically feeling exhausted or were you pushing through like, because at the pace that you are describing, I'm like, I'm really tired just hearing about it. Like all that running, all the coaching, all the Orange Theory. I mean,
let's just say it was fueled by a lot of caffeine, which did me no justice when I look back. Like tremendous amounts of caffeine.
Sure.
No, I felt like crap.
No, you were like running on fumes.
Awful. I was living in a fog.
Yeah.
Just all the side effects that come along with that are not good.
No.
And eventually, you know, then that led me up into relocating down to Florida. And then I was thrown into corporate life again, essentially. Right. I was still with Orange Theory, but now more in a corporate role and traveling. You know, nobody talks about that. Everyone saw me, you know, in front of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai and on another plane and in Germany and Poland and all these places I went to. But it was a lot.
That's a lot.
Time zones,
traveling
long
is really
flights.
Exhausting in itself too. So,
and I did it alone.
Now, and you were doing it alone. That's a lot too. Oh my God. Yeah. So at what point did your body, I mean, already losing your cycle is like, there's a flag. I mean, you know, I hear it in the bodybuilding world where, you know, so you compete. Now I competed, but I never even lost my cycle. I mean, I don't know how, but I just never did. But I did compete with women who did.
Yeah.
And already, but then I'd be like, okay, well, when you finish this show, like you got to go back to eating and get your cycle back because it just didn't sound healthy and right to me. I'm like, how can you
but
not
that's
get
really,
your cycle?
I never was a competitor, but that's one of the biggest struggles I know from when I work with the health coaching company. That we see is like the body dysmorphia that it brings and trying to accept yourself again at like a healthy weight, higher body fat. So yeah, the struggles are real, but eventually my body did humble me. COVID kind of rolled around and that changed life as we know it for everyone. And, you know, the next thing I know, like I'm at home and I'm just like, I'm 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah. How did that, what happened with the weight? Like, did your body now just stop responding after a while? It
stopped responding. And during COVID, I panicked. I'm like, okay, like now the gym's closed. Like I'm stuck at home. I bought the Peloton. I'm jumping around. I'm forcing myself to go out and do distance runs again because there's nothing else to do. But my body just kept saying no. Like I kept gaining weight. I'm having anxiety. I'm having brain fog. I'm having panic attacks. I'm like, nothing's working.
Wow.
Like nothing is working.
Scary.
So finally I kind of surrendered and I went to the doctor. I was like, okay, you know, let me do that.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctor and bless his soul, nice man, but he was just like, oh, well, you look fit and, you know, this and that. And you're basic blood panel looks great, like your cholesterol and your A1C. I'm like, bro, like I basically was like begging for help at this point. Like I'm crying. I'm
you
like,
look fit. Like what?
Help me. And
Yes.
I was like, can we run a hormone panel? And then it becomes like, well, I don't know what your insurance will cover, and let me see how much it's going to cost. And I don't know if you need that. And I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, he was like, here's a script for birth control. Like that can help your hormones. I'm like, what? And here's a script for anti-anxiety meds. And I'm like, I'm not knocking either one of those options, but I was like, I feel like I need more data. I need like more.
These are Band-Aids.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of like, so I left, and I remember being like, whoa, like I got absolutely nowhere, and I just can't continue feeling this way. Like I feel so out of control, and I am I am a type A control person. So I'm like, that wasn't going to do it for me. And that's when I reached out to Nutrition Dynamic, which we also share that connection. They're now rebranded. They're called Vital Coaching, but I wanted to go more of like a holistic route and see what I could accomplish. Got on a call with them, basically poured my heart out, and I was like, listen, I honestly don't even care what it costs at this point in time. I can't live another day feeling this way. And that's when I started my healing journey and kind of like waved the white towel and was like, something's got to change. And that's when I started. It was shortly after COVID started, actually. And I was like, if not now, then when? We all have a little bit of like extra time or whatever, and started my journey with a functional health coach, and finally dug deeper into like labs and getting some answers. And my hormones were wrecked. My cortisol was like a disaster.
And the moral of the story was that you were doing, it's like, we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
We overdo everything and think that more is better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not the case.
Yeah. So it was humbling when I started that healing journey, and it's like, they were like, okay, you need to pull back on your training, and you're just going to do walks and go to yoga. And I'm like, what? It's like, I'm still working for Orange Theory in a different capacity because of COVID, but like I'm still working under the umbrella. I'm like, I literally like, part of my job is to take classes. Like, you know what I mean? Like I eat, sleep, breathe Orange Theory. So it's like, now I'm like going for walks and reverse dieting. I'm teaching myself how to eat more. And like, it just was the most uncomfortable, hard thing I've ever had to do, but it had to be done in order to heal. And over time, like things started to change and move in the right direction. And it really was hard work. And it was a journey, and I'm not here to say that HIIT training is bad or being a boss babe is bad or doing all these things, but you have to find ways to manage your stress bucket better. I didn't, it's just more in every aspect of my life, not dealing with any of my stuff and just pushing harder. So I think you can do more if you know how to balance it.
Yeah.
I wasn't resting enough.
Right. I wasn't you learned to rest.
Like dealing with my demons. Like I had to get really uncomfortable in that healing journey, and it took a solid 2 years. So something else I do want to share is like, we live in a culture of instant gratification. If you wake up tomorrow and you want to lose 5 pounds, you want to lose it by the end of that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's our culture. But it took me 2 years. And this is without medication. This is just changing my lifestyle, changing my nutrition, changing everything, my mindset, like just everything. But I kept having to say to myself, like, you wouldn't run 10 miles into the woods and expect to run 1 mile to get out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Chances are that all these women that might be struggling, like this wasn't an overnight thing.
No.
For me, we're talking like a decade at this point or more.
Right.
More, almost 2. So, patience is a virtue. Sometimes I think with Western medicine, like it is a quick fix or a Band-Aid. I'm not against that. But if you want to do it a different way, you gotta trust the process and stay uncomfortable for a while in order to see the light and get to the other side.
And sometimes like working with someone that finally gives you like the green light or the permission, like people like us who want to like do so much. I want to do so much. So like to have like work with some type of like coach who finally says like, I need you to stop.
Yes,
And like, this
like
is
literally
actually
stop.
part of your prescription is do not do cardio right now. You're doing too much. Like, and it's not to say it's never going to be added back. Cardio can be done at a very healthy level. It can be part of like, I do plenty of cardio, but no, doing like 2 hours a day, running yourself into the ground, training for a marathon, under eating, like day in and day out, like what your body, you're just driving your body into the ground.
It literally depends on the person, too. And like what your stress load is like in your day-to-day life. I mean, there's so many factors. So it's not a one size fits all.
Right.
That's why you'll never see me really post like do running cardio 3 times a week and stair step. Like it's individualized. Yep. You want to tell 2 people to take the same dose of medication or even the same medication.
Well, it's a very dangerous thing because also like that's what happens on my social media. I'll show that I'm on the stairs or on a show that whatever, but it's like, I've been at this since I was 12 years old. I've, competed for 10 years. I've done where I'm at in my journey, where my body is. A lot of the stuff I do is for maintenance now, like I'm not in a building phase really anymore. So it's like, what I'm doing is very different from what other people are doing. And so for me to tell you, like the women will ask me like, well, Dana, how much cardio are you doing? How many times a week do you, I mean, I could tell you, but it's not going to help you. It's like, I'm totally at a different
Same with
position.
the nutrition.
Same with nutrition.
You will never see me personally. And again, everybody has to do their own thing that works for them. I'm a girl's girl too, especially like I'm not here to put anybody or anything down. It's super individual, but I will never post what I eat in the day because I literally don't want anybody to eat what I eat in a day. Like you're not me.
No, and
you know what I'm saying?
And I don't eat the same thing every single day. And like what I eat in a day, like that's a day. Like there's 7 days a week. Then there's like 365 days a year. Almost every day, I do have like my staples, the things I love, my go-tos. But like every day is different, and I do jockey around my macros as I need it. And I do add in carbs if I'm training legs, and I do, and like I will go out for cheat meals or not cheat meals, but meaning like where I just say like, I'm doing a big burger tonight and I'm having whatever and I'm not even tracking whatever I'm doing or, it's just like, and sometimes I'm tracking and sometimes I'm not. And sometimes, so it's like to like give a day. It's like, what is that?
Everyone's prescription is different.
Right.
And it changes in every season you're in. It changes as you get older. I mean, it's like so individual.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, the healing journey was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was like, now that I'm on the other side of it a little bit more, it was worth everything. And sometimes you get better before you get worse.
Yeah.
So you got to just find the right support, start to figure out what works for you, trust the process, go all in and be positive.
Keep in your head of like where do you want to be? Like you have to remember that because a lot of times people like us we're like, we just want to go back to doing what we thought worked. So that meant a lot of running, a lot of training, a lot of it. But it's like, no, was that working? No, it wasn't really working.
and that's why in the, going back to when right before I hit rock bottom, like I tried adding in more cardio, manipulating my macros. I'm like, why? And I just got worse because at that point in time, everything was so off balance and just out of whack. And my metabolism was so down regulated. Like it wasn't it. And also I forgot this part. Like I had elevated my blood sugar so high. I mean, there were so many things that we had to really like dig deep into and figure out. And get through for me to start stepping into my power again and finding like my healthiest, best version.
Well, bring your body back to functioning optimally as
homeostasis.
Like, yes,
literally.
Yes, exactly. And often, like I said, we just think more is better and we just push and we push and we push and we push. And like the body eventually is just like running a car into the ground. Like, oh, the car just lasts for, no, like you're not fueling it correctly. You're not changing the oil. You're not, you're just driving it in the hot desert for hours. Like you think it's just going to keep going. Like, no, it's going to start breaking down.
Your body will humble you. Listen to the signs. Don't ignore anything, but also advocate for yourself. Had I just taken the doctor's advice, like I don't think I would
don't
be
stop
in this body or be like explore all your options, educate yourself, try and lean into the right people. And make the best decisions for yourself, is all I can say. And it was a life-changing journey.
Do you feel like you're ever going to not be working and on that journey?
No.
Right? Because that's where I'm at.
Still in therapy, still have good days and bad days when it comes to my body and food. And no, old habits haunt me. ED brain doesn't shut off.
Yeah.
So we're working through that on the regular, but a lot better equipped to handle it. Managing stress and coping and learning to sort through the chronic stress. Like, stress is the worst.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to understand that. You can work out, you can eat well, whatever, but like, stress will wreck you.
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm stressed, yes, I'll go for a walk, but sometimes I just have to sit in the bathtub. You have to know when is the time when you're like, this is just a lot of stress that I don't need to add stress on stress. Because don't forget, working out, like weight training, is still stress. It's you're putting your body under stress.
It's a stress on your body, and
your body doesn't know the difference. You're still stressed. So sometimes it's like, okay, weight training right now just isn't what I need. It's actually just sitting outside by the ocean, or it's sitting in my bathtub, or it's just doing these things where I'm just trying to just bring the craziness that I'm feeling through my body just down and relaxing and calming my nerves and my feelings and calming my mind. So, I know a lot of people will be like, well, the gym is my therapy. And I get that.
Right.
Because it can be at times.
And that's the hard part.
Because it's which another double-edged sword.
Sure. Yeah. Because, overtraining, chronic stress, you're going to end up inflamed. You're not going to end up with the look or the body that you're probably going for. So it's a journey. Like, I am not perfect. I am learning every day. I've made mistakes, even recently, but
you have to give
one day
yourself
at a time.
Grace. Look how far you've come, and you're worth it. You have to, like you said, you can't just because the doctor said here, take some pills, and you're like, no, that's not the answer. Okay, so then keep looking, because if you knew in your heart, there's more going on here than just taking birth control to fix hormones. Come on.
I mean, I do believe in the data. I believe that it's super powerful. Make sure you're getting your labs done. Make sure you're getting all the panels that you need to get, and having someone help you interpret them that really knows what they're talking about, because it's that's what's going on.
Right.
If your thyroid's off or your hormones or whatever it is, you need to know.
And listen to your body, because I didn't realize that my thyroid somehow got real messed up, and I never had a thyroid issue. And then all of a sudden, I'm losing hair and I'm cold all the time. And I had all these crazy side effects. I couldn't go to the bathroom, and and then all of a sudden, I said it to somebody, and they're like, have you gotten your thyroid checked? And I got my thyroid checked, and lo and behold, I had no T3, no T4.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. But meanwhile, it's don't ignore those things.
No, it will show up in your body. That's why autoimmune disorders are through the roof right now. Listen to what's going on, and advocate for yourself. Figure it out. Try and find the root cause. Don't take the easy route or, the quick fix.
Exactly.
Try and really get to the bottom of it and heal. Yeah. And sometimes it's not another diet or 7 more medications, or, find the right people too. It takes an army.
Yeah.
So
and support system and all of that. And know that, the body dysmorphia thing, that was the post that I saw you post.
Yeah, that was a recent one.
That was a recent one. And that's why I reached out to you, because I'm like, here you are, a fitness professional, where you are a coach, and people, like you said, are looking up to you, and then thinking, oh, she looks great. She knows she looks great. She has it all together. Well, it's well, actually, I struggle too. And even though you look great, and I have the same issues where people on social media are like, Dana, you look great. You wouldn't know what it feels like to struggle. And I'm like, actually, I wake up and my legs will feel swollen, or maybe I'll be looking great, but I can find something that maybe I think isn't great.
It's I don't view myself how others view me. And it's it's sad, but your mind can be a blessing and a curse. Yeah. So every day I'm working through that. And sometimes I'm being in the industry can make it even harder. But now I have a platform, and I feel like the beginning of my fitness career, it was like I mentioned, like trying to be that perfect, like epitome of fitness that I think everybody wants me to be or wants to see. But then when I sat down and I started to realize, like, no, like I want to be who I am.
Yes.
And the right people will gravitate to me, like it will resonate. And I started like with the little posts, and like I one of the first things I shared, I think maybe was like about my eating disorder. And it was like, that's when I like, my classes were full. I'm getting DMs, I'm getting texts, and people, oh my God, like, oh, I'm a real person. And you know, I'm out here yelling at you on a microphone to exercise, but like, I'm fighting some major demons like behind the scenes and at home. And that's when I honestly became the fitness coach that I wanted to be from the beginning.
Yes. Cause that's inspiring to say like, look, I battle my stuff too. I mean, I'm showing up and I'm real, and, you know, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. And, you know, I don't know. I like taking classes from people who aren't perfect, and like, you know, because
none of us are.
Right.
So it's like,
and I know like they'll finally like kind of show you a side that they're not perfect. And I'll see where maybe like the coach, you know, all the coaches wear like tiny like workout outfits, but I'll see like, you know what, she's a little bloated today. I can tell. That's cool. Like she still shows up and she's okay. And she's like showing up because I'm bloated too. Or like, you know what I mean? Like I'll bloat like every month, like every other women, but like, I don't need to pretend that I'm not, or that I'm perfect or whatever. It's like, okay. And I like seeing that where it's like, okay, you know, we're all showing up, getting a workout in, and it's not like I got to look up to the coach like, wow, she's so perfect all the time. And, you know, that kind of makes me feel crappy about myself. I like to see real women just be real women.
And that was a game changer for me in my career and stuff like that. And then I try not to overshare, and I never want to come across like I'm an expert in anything, because it's always like evolving and changing. But I just want people to know like it's okay to just be genuine and be authentic and who you are, and good things, bad things, whatever. So I got more comfortable with sharing, and like, you know, I share little things here and there, but I'm finally in a place where it's like, I can sit here and like really open up about it and hope that I'm touching at least one person, you know, or making like a difference in someone's life. So, you know, have I been perfect? No, I've kind of like had little relapses here and there with my eating disorder or the body dysmorphia things, like every minute by minute. You know, it's like before I'm coming here, I'm like, oh my God, I got to be on camera. But it's just, your brain can be a blessing and a curse to you sometimes. But, you know, I just want to keep helping people, you know, whether it's through my own journey or through fitness and workouts that I deliver. But yeah, I've had some ups and downs since my healing journey, but that's life, normal. You know. I went back into a super stressful work situation and learned the hard way again. I was humbled with a situation in my business. So, I mean, it's rare to like heal to perfection. Like nobody, like what, like how, wow. Like what kind of program did you go? Like, it's not a switch. Like it's not a switch. We're born to be real, not perfect. And that's like one of my number one quotes. I say to myself at least once a day, like I am here to be real, not perfect.
And that's why I wanted you on here, because you're a real woman. I want people to hear from real people. Like not every single podcast needs to be an expert in their field. It's like, okay, well, meanwhile, like what about real people who've been through real things, real struggles? How do they come out the other side? Are they perfect then in the end? Like, no, I don't think anyone is. And even experts are not perfect. And
no, you're always learning. You should never stop. And with whatever you're doing, and like fitness evolves so fast.
Yes.
You know, I'll get home tonight and something else is changing in the industry or an article, and I try to keep up. And I've seen many shifts just in my life in fitness and exercise and the industry and health and nutrition. I mean, we're never going to be an expert. That's why things continuously change and evolve. But, you know, learning as much as I can from what I feel like is my mistakes and trying to be 1% better every day, you know, like little things. If it's one less ED thought, great. If it's one extra rep in the gym, great. Like small wins add up over time. And
I love that. That is the truth every day. And just working on it every day, like you said, add up to big results. And big healing.
Yeah.
You know, like even if you feel like you're really far from being healed, but every day that you're putting effort towards your healing, all of a sudden, like you look back and you're like, oh my God, I've been 2 years. Like you were put
and it's
into
your
it.
environment too, like I can't sit here and tell people like, oh, well, if you have a stressful job, just quit. I mean that.
Right.
But it's like, okay, how can you like maybe navigate or handle or compartmentalize stress better then?
Yep.
Like if you're a nurse and you have a super stressful job or you're working overnights, like to sit here and tell someone like, oh, well, just quit nursing and like kumbaya all day and like walk on the grass. No, but maybe there's ways to navigate it better, right? Like that's what it's all about. So, taking those little steps, if you work those long shifts, like bring a snack, try and take time for yourself. Maybe it's a conversation that needs to be had. Like, hey, I feel overworked. Like, how can you make it better without doing something unrealistic, like quitting your job? I mean, that would be...
Yes,
but sometimes it will cost you relationships or keeping yourself out of certain environments. Like, how bad do you want it? So...
Yeah, so you may have to make the life changes to save your own health and or figure out what you can do.
Protect your peace.
Right, exactly. Well,
as much as you can.
Yeah.
Like one lady said to me, like, well, you want me to just like kill my kids? And I'm like, no.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. You can't just be like, well, I don't want to deal with my children anymore, or I'm going to quit my job. But there's definitely ways that you could come up with to help you navigate your stress, and maybe there are some things that could cut out, like whatever.
Pushing harder
is it going to therapy? Is it, I don't know. Like, what can you do that's realistic to help yourself navigate the challenges that you're facing?
Yep.
Right. So, I don't like anything extreme anymore, when it comes to lifestyle or fitness changes. Like, it's a marathon,
push
not
harder.
sprint.
It doesn't mean push harder. Like, if your life is hard right now and stressful, it doesn't mean like put more on your plate. It means maybe, you've got to pull back on something or find other ways to relieve, like to balance out that stress.
It could be as simple as like limiting your time on social media. Is that sucking your time? Is that draining you? Is that stressing you out? Like, just take an inventory on like every single thing in your life and try and figure out where you can clean it up or make it better for yourself. Like, I even have to limit myself on social media, like we go down the rabbit hole and then I'm thinking about it's politics, it's inflation, it's
better to
fitness influencers.
Yes.
Like, it's like, okay, no, like let me go for a walk, put my earbuds in and just listen to like a mindless book or something. Sometimes it can be mindless. Like, I watch Love is Blind, like something completely brings me no educational value, but sometimes it's like, okay.
You're just like unplugging your brain.
Takes me away from some of my, yeah, definitely. So,
okay. Well, this was like really good. This chat was amazing. I think we're like right up to but this is, I mean, you poured so many great points, thoughts, I mean, everything into this podcast, and I really appreciate it. I
appreciate you having me.
Yeah, you sharing. I know that there are going to be a lot of people who resonate with your story. I know I have a lot of women who follow me who do have stressful jobs and families and things, and sometimes you do feel like, like is this it? Or overwhelmed? Should I go harder? So you sharing is just another example of a woman who was there and navigated her way through, and you're still working on it, but we're always a work in progress.
Very much so. Every day is a work in progress.
Yeah,
give yourself some grace, accept that some days will be better than others. I mean, journaling was helpful. I used some technology like my Aura Ring to help me, there are tools, there are resources, there are people, lean into all of that.
Yes.
Try and
I'll put your information in, I'm going to tag Angela in all of our descriptions, and you'll be on all the teasers and everything.
Cool.
So yeah, follow her. I mean, I really, like I said, I follow her, and I enjoy your posts and your realness, and you're such a wonderful example of somebody who never gave up on themselves. And I think that that's really important. Don't give up on yourself, and stay with your passion, right? You're still so passionate about your fitness, but now you just have it in a place where like how far to push it.
I know my limits.
Exactly.
I know finally feel like I know how many days I should be training, resting.
Yes.
I use technology, like I said, my Oura Ring to look at my recovery, my sleep.
Yeah.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's it. And happy to connect or help as many people as I can through my journey and what I've learned. And I was like, truly enjoyed this. So thank you.
Oh, good. I loved it too. Well, thanks you guys. Thanks for listening, and tune in next time for another episode of Until It's Done, a Devoted podcast.